Humans survived death, and I proved it impossible. I am Vale of the Oran Collective, a species trained to understand all living patterns. We measure fear. We calculate loyalty. We predict violence. Humans broke every calculation. The first human I studied should have died on the battlefield of Karen 7. The atmosphere was poison. The gravity crushed bones. The enemy machines had erased entire armies in seconds. The human stood up. I recorded the event as a malfunction in my visual sensors. My conclusion was simple. The human was not alive. But then it moved. This was my first mistake. I believe humans were weak creatures that survived only because they did not understand danger. Their strange emotions confused me. They ran toward explosions. They touched dangerous creatures. They protected smaller beings that could not increase their survival chance. I called it biological error. Humans called it friendship. I did not understand friendship. Among the Oran, every bond exists for a purpose. Protection creates advantage. Cooperation creates efficiency. Attachment creates weakness. Humans created weakness and then defended it like a weapon. That was impossible. Our invasion of Earth was supposed to last 3 cycles. The humans had no superior technology. Their ships were primitive. Their weapons were outdated. Their bodies were fragile. I watched their soldiers fall from wounds that would end any Oran warrior. Then I watched them crawl back. I recorded another mistake. I believe they returned because their minds are damaged. The human brain was clearly defective. Why would a creature return to a battle where it had already lost? Why would it protect another creature when escape was available? Why would it sacrifice itself for someone it barely knew? I needed answers, so I observed them. A human soldier named Kale became my primary subject. He was small compared to Oran fighters. His bones were thin. His skin was exposed. His heartbeat changed rapidly during combat. I believed this meant fear controlled him. I was wrong. Every time danger approached, Kale moved closer. Every time an ally fell, he became more aggressive. Every time he was injured, he became harder to stop. I created a new theory. Humans did not become stronger during danger. They became less intelligent. Fear removed their survival instincts. This explained everything. I felt confident. Then the humans attacked our command ship, not with stronger weapons, not with better machines, with a rescue mission. They came back for one person, a human scientist, a useless individual, no combat ability, no tactical value. I could not understand why thousands of humans would risk destruction for one fragile life. I watched from the shadows as Kale entered the damaged station. The scientist was trapped. The oxygen was nearly gone. The station was collapsing. The logical action was abandonment. I waited for Kale to leave. He did not. The human removed his own breathing equipment and gave it to the scientist. My sensors detected the problem immediately. Kale was going to die. I marked the observation. Human mistake confirmed. But then something happened that damaged my understanding. The scientist refused the air. They argued. Both attempted to sacrifice themselves. My mind searched for the pattern. There was none. They were not competing. They were trying to lose. This was the most confusing behavior I had ever witnessed. 2 creatures were fighting over who would die first. I reported the event as a human malfunction, but a strange feeling appeared inside my thoughts. Curiosity. Why did they do this? Why did their survival instinct seem different from every species I knew? The answer came later. The human survivors escaped the station. Kale should have been weak. Instead, he returned to the battlefield. I watched him walk through fire. My calculations failed again. The human was injured. The human was exhausted. The human was afraid. Yet he advanced. I finally understood the pattern. Humans always moved toward the thing they feared. I believe this was their greatest flaw. A creature that cannot avoid fear is doomed. Then the enemy commander captured Kale. I expected surrender. Every intelligent species surrenders when survival becomes impossible. The commander placed a weapon against Kale's head. I prepare my report. Human defeated. Human behavior finally explained. Then the commander made one mistake. He pointed the weapon at Kale's companion, a human engineer, a human friend. The entire battlefield changed. Kale stopped struggling. His heartbeat slowed. His fear disappeared. I believed he had accepted death. I was wrong. The human looked at the weapon. Then he looked at his friend. And something impossible happened. The creature that feared nothing finally showed fear. Not for himself. For another. My sensors detected a biological reaction I had never seen before. The human was not trying to survive. He was trying to protect. The commander laughed. He believed he had found weakness. I almost agreed. Then Kale smiled. I did not understand that expression. I believed it meant defeat. I was about to learn my final mistake. Because the most dangerous thing about humans was never their strength. It was what happened when someone threatened the thing they loved. I believed the human had reached the end of his existence. I was wrong. Again, the commander pressed the weapon closer to Kale's friend. The battlefield became silent. Even machines stopped firing. Every species watching the event understood the same thing. The human had lost. A creature protecting another creature was easy to control. That was the oldest rule of survival. I recorded the moment. Human attachment creates vulnerability. Human loyalty creates weakness. Human love is a biological defect. My conclusion was perfect until Kale moved. Not toward the weapon, not toward the enemy, toward his friend. Slowly, calmly. The commander ordered him to stop. Kale continued. I could not understand. The weapon was still aimed. Death was guaranteed. Yet the human walked forward like the weapon did not exist. I changed my analysis. Humans do not understand danger. That was the only explanation. Their brains ignore reality when emotions become too strong. A dangerous flaw. A fatal flaw. The commander fired. The shot hit Kale. The human fell. I marked the conclusion. Human finally defeated. But then the battlefield screamed. Not from humans. From the enemy. Because Kale was already standing again. My systems froze. The wound was real. The blood was real. The damage was real. The human should not have moved. But it did. I searched every medical database. No species survived that injury. No creature continued after that level of damage. Except humans. I updated my theory. Humans are not strong. Humans are simply impossible. The commander stepped back. For the first time, I saw fear in another species. Not because of Kale's weapons. Not because of his armor. Because Kale kept walking. The human was injured. The human was bleeding. The human was dying. And somehow that made him more dangerous. I did not understand. A damaged creature should retreat. A dying creature should seek safety. A dying human approached the threat. Why? Then I saw the answer. The human was not fighting for survival. He was fighting because his friend was still in danger. This was different. This was terrifying. Most species fight to continue existing. Humans fight to decide who gets to exist. The commander finally understood. He removed the weapon from Kale's friend and aimed it at Kale again. A logical decision. Remove the threat. End the problem. I expected Kale to attack. He did not. He smiled. That expression returned. I hated that expression. It always appeared before humans did something I could not predict. The commander shouted. The human ignored him. Kale looked at his friend. A silent exchange occurred. No words. No commands. No visible signal. Yet the other human understood. This was impossible. The Orin communicate through direct neural patterns. Humans communicated through tiny movements. A glance. A breath. A small change in expression. Their bodies were primitive. Their communication was not. The friend suddenly moved. The commander reacted. Too late. The entire human squad had been waiting. Not attacking. Waiting. I realized something horrifying. The humans had not lost the battle. They had allowed the enemy to believe they lost. They created the illusion of weakness. My earlier observations were wrong. Humans did not ignore danger. They studied it. They walked toward fear because fear revealed the enemy's mistakes. The battlefield exploded. Human weapons activated from positions I had never detected. Their damaged ships moved again. Their soldiers returned from impossible injuries. The enemy forces collapsed. I watched thousands of humans fight against superior numbers. And I finally understood the pattern. Humans always protected something. A person, a place, a memory, a promise. I thought this made them weak. It made them dangerous. Because when you remove everything a human values, you create something with nothing left to lose. The commander escaped. I followed. I needed to understand. My entire existence was built on prediction. Humans destroyed prediction. They were not warriors. They were not machines. They were not monsters. They were something worse. They were creatures that could become all three. I found Kale after the battle. He was sitting beside his friend, broken, exhausted, almost dead. The human was smiling again. I prepared to record another mistake. I assumed he was happy because he survived. But then I noticed something. Kale was looking at the empty battlefield, at the fallen enemies, at the destroyed ships, at the lives lost. The human was not celebrating. He was mourning. This confused me more than anything. A victorious species should feel pride. Humans felt sadness. They carried the weight of enemies they defeated. Why? Why would a predator feel pain for its prey? Why would a survivor remember the fallen? I approached him. For the first time, I did not know what to record. The human looked at me. He knew I had studied him. He knew I had misunderstood him. I expected anger. Humans always seemed aggressive when challenged. But Kale only spoke a few words. He said the most terrifying sentence I had ever heard. We were never fighting to win. I analyzed the statement. Impossible. Every battle has a winner. Every conflict has a purpose. The human looked at his friend, then at me, and I finally understood the hidden danger of humanity. They did not fight because they enjoyed survival. They fought because they believed something mattered more than survival. I'd spent my entire life studying weapons. I studied armor. I studied military strategies. I studied every method a species used to destroy another. I never studied the one thing that made humans truly dangerous: their reason. Days later, I discovered the truth behind the human pattern. The thing they protected was not always another person. Sometimes it was an idea. Sometimes it was a promise. Sometimes it was a memory of someone who was already gone. And that was the moment I became afraid. Because you could defeat an army. You can destroy a planet. You can erase a species. But how do you defeat a creature that will keep fighting for something that no longer exists? I finally understood why the commander made the greatest mistake of his life. He thought pointing a gun at a human's friend created control. He did not understand. He had not found the human's weakness. He had activated the thing that made humans unstoppable. And now the galaxy would learn the lesson I learned. Never put a gun to a human's friend. Because humans do not become dangerous when they are attacked. They become something impossible when someone they love is threatened. Asterisk, asterisk. And that was the day I finally understood humanity. They were never the strongest species because of their weapons, their ships, or their technology. They were dangerous because they could turn love into a force stronger than fear itself. I once believed putting a gun near a human's friend would create control. I was wrong. It created a storm. The galaxy learned a lesson that day. Never threaten what a human protects. Because a human may forgive an enemy. A human may lose a battle. A human may even accept death. But when someone they love is in danger, they become something the universe was never prepared to face. If you enjoyed this HFY Sci-Fi story, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more incredible human versus galaxy stories.